Hey everybody, it's Greg from Park Journey here. Hope you're all doing all right. So last week I was at Universal Studios Hollywood and got some footage and pictures and stuff of the Fast and Furious coaster construction. I wasn't actually going to do a full update. I didn't feel that there was actually enough to justify a complete update, but today some new information was released on the community website for Universal Studios Hollywood. Basically, this is a space where they alert the community of things going on at the park that might have an impact visually, a sound impact, obviously, with the residential area at Universal Studios or around Universal Studios. They have to be, obviously very careful about what they do. They actually have plans in place. They have things that they can do and things they can't do based on, the neighbors and the city and everything. So this website is basically a way for them to alert the community kind of what's going on at the park. And today there was an update on that website that basically has some additional details for the Fast and Furious coaster. Including some descriptions of what the coaster actually is, and also some kind of, I don't want to say artwork, because it's really not. Basically just images of the park and where the coaster will be seen visually, and also some information on audible impacts of the coaster with the area surrounding the park. So I'm going to actually talk about Fast and Furious. I'm going to go through kind of the information that's on this website. I'll put the link in the description as well, just so you can take a look at this link. We'll get right into it, but before I do, make sure you click below to subscribe to our channel. As always, it is greatly appreciated. All right, so first I'm going to just kind of go through this Rollercoaster Snapshot is what it's called. It has, it has a map of the park, kind of outlining where the coaster is going to be. Obviously, at this point, if you've been following our site, you know that the station is going to be on the upper lot, and it will be in the area where the animal actors and the special effects stages was. And obviously, we have a lot of video and updates and things like that. So this kind of shows a map there, and then it kind of goes through kind of a snapshot of the coaster, some commitment to the community information, and then some other things, and then finally some roller coaster overview, which is probably most of where the new news is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take this, kind of step by step through this kind of snapshot here, and kind of walk you through some of the information that's contained here. So first we've got the Rollercoaster Snapshot. This ride benefits from Universal destinations and experiences, decades-long expertise in revolutionizing the development of coasters. Obviously, as far as Universal Studios Hollywood is concerned, only 2 coasters on site right now. Only 2 coasters that have ever existed at the park. So I think this is more kind of leaning towards Japan and Orlando, and some of the other parks that have more of a thrill coaster on in their parks. So we've got Rip Ride Rocket and Velocicoaster in Orlando. We used to have it Dueling Dragons in Orlando. We've got the Hollywood Dream, and then obviously a few other ones. We've got the Jurassic Flying Coaster as well. So just a lot of obviously more high thrill coasters at some of the other parks than we have currently at Universal Studios Hollywood. So kind of just letting the community know that this is not the first time that Universal has done this. It might be the first time at this particular park, but it is not the first time that Universal has kind of created a roller coaster of this kind. So moving down from there, it goes into the commitment to the community. So they have 4 layers of mitigations, and basically this is designed based on extensive testing and in consultation with premier national acoustical firms. So if you remember, a couple of months ago, they actually had up on the special effects building before they tore it down, they actually had some kind of sound wall, and they were playing coaster sounds on that wall, and that was basically what they were doing. They were doing testing on the acoustics of having an active coaster at the park and what it would actually sound like. So that was kind of one of the steps in that. Second is transparency, provide construction and testing schedule throughout the project. So as we get a little bit further down, we'll get into more of that. But basically, just letting the community know, this is when construction is going to be going on, the hours that construction is going to be going on, things like that, the days, so on and so forth. Operating in compliance, meet or remain below the property sound ordinance, which is more stringent than the city and county codes. So as I mentioned, Universal Studios does have a kind of I don't want to say a deal, but they have to meet sound restrictions. And basically, what the park's restrictions are, what this is saying is that they are more stringent than what the county and city require. So they're kind of keeping in compliance with that, things like that. And then sound monitoring, ongoing sound monitoring by the company with increased frequency and locations during the testing phase of the coaster. So kind of the same kind of thing where they're talking about, making sure that the sound doesn't travel too far. And this is something that's going to probably be ongoing even after the coaster opens, because you build new buildings, you build a new sound stage, you build, they're building the new offices down on the hill. Maybe they build something in the area where War of the Worlds is. Maybe they take that out and something gets built over there. That impacts how sound travels and where it goes. So that's probably not something that is going to change. It's not going to be a one-time thing. They'll probably continue to actually monitor that sound. And this is basically what that's saying. And then moving over to the right a little bit here, it goes through the low rumble track. So the entire track will be filled with pea gravel to minimize vehicle sound. So this is something that I think we've all experienced before. They have it at Knott's with Silver Bullet. They have it at some other parks where they basically fill the supports with gravel to minimize the sound of the actual track. So that is something that they are going to be doing here with Fast and Furious. Next, they're going to have a sound wall. So longer than 2 football fields, a sound wall will be built comprised of acoustic block material, state-of-the-art sound absorbing product to help reduce sound from the attraction from traveling into the community. So this is presumably a sound wall that will basically stretch the entire length of the coaster from the upper lot to the lower lot. Is what I'm assuming. Obviously on the front side there, you've got the buildings that'll kind of help block that too, but I'm assuming maybe some sound walls in between those buildings as well to help minimize the sound there. And then obviously Universal is pretty good at blocking sound based on their sound stages. So some of the same kind of thing going on there. They're also going to do half pipe shields. So 2 half pipe shields will encase the sound at the source. Based on testing, these shields will lower sound by approximately 15 decibels. So kind of similar to California Screaming at California Adventure. If you've been to that park, they were going to basically have a couple of half pipe shields there that are going to kind of go through and block the sound. And then lastly, and this kind of confirms something on the coaster here. The ride vehicle allows for 360-degree rotation, providing the ability to turn and program vehicles away from the community at key scream moments. So that's one thing that was rumored on this coaster. It seems to be confirmed that it will be some kind of spinning launch coaster. For this particular ride. So they'll be able to actually, sounds like they're actually designing it to where the spin of certain areas of the coaster will kind of face people away from the community. And then lastly, there is a roller coaster overview. So it says high speed, fast and furious theme. So it seems like they are still sticking with that theme. I'll be honest, if you've seen my videos in the past, I'm not a huge fan of the theme. I would definitely rather just have them make a Hollywood coaster, kind of, they did a Hollywood Dream, make it a Hollywood coaster, or, you ride the movies and, you select your soundtrack like on Rip Ride Rocket, and you can select your movie soundtrack. I would much rather prefer something like that versus Fast and Furious, but, beggars can't be choosers. I'm thrilled to have this coaster here, even if I'm not a huge fan of the theme. It will be a terrain coaster, which obviously, if you've seen any of our updates, you know that that is taking place. And it sounds like there will be 2 trains on the track at the same time, with 16 people each coaster. The ride hours, the attraction hours, are planned to be consistent with park hours, including peak season and special events. I'm assuming that also includes Halloween Horror Nights, as long as coaster operations are in compliance with the property sound ordinance. So from what this is telling me, so for example, if you do Halloween Horror Nights, you know the Terror Tram closes at a certain time of night due to the sound ordinance in that area of the park. I'm going to assume that if for some reason the Fast and Furious coaster does not meet the sound ordinance for, let's say, after 11 o'clock p.m., it might close early on certain nights, including Halloween Horror Nights. Again, that's pure speculation on my part right now. Hopefully that won't be a factor for this particular coaster, and there won't be any sound issues with them running the coaster, through the duration of Halloween Horror Nights every night. Lighting will meet the evolution plan requirements. No pulsing or strobing lights. So I'm assuming there probably will be at some point in the coaster, but I'm assuming that will be inside, which I'm fine with. I don't need pulsing and strobing lights on a world-class coaster like this. So then we get into kind of a little bit of the meat of it here, of kind of a little bit more of the actual layout of the coaster. So located in the middle of the theme park, which we all know, which is on the hill. The entrance to the ride is on the upper deck across from the Universal Plaza. East side straddles the Starway over to Jurassic World on the west side. So I don't think that means that the coaster is going to interact with Jurassic World at all, or it's going to cross the tram road right there. It's just going to basically be down. It's going to go all the way down to that area, as we've laid out in a couple of our updates. So basically, the coaster starts at the top, goes all the way down the hill, and then back up. So yeah, if you're moving into that new Universal office building, and you have windows on that side, you're going to have an awesome view of this coaster, though. So kudos to whoever gets those offices on that side. So it's basically going to stretch from the top to the bottom, and then obviously back up to the top. Construction hours. Construction is currently limited to 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturdays. And they have ongoing sound monitoring. If there needs to be exceptions, it will based on safety. Then they will obviously do that. And then very lastly, at the bottom, this project meets the requirements of the Evolution Plan, a 25-year master plan for the property, approved by city and county. Approved by the city and county in 2013. Coaster is replacing 2 attractions, which are the special effects stage and the animal actor stage, and the park will be able to operate within its current capacity controls. Additionally, additional Evolution Plan traffic mitigations are not required as a result of this building of this attraction. So basically, what they're kind of implying here is that they don't need to make any improvements to the surface streets, the entrance and exiting of the park. They're not anticipating, an increase in, or they're not anticipating such an increase in traffic that it's going to justify having to redo, more of, build a new parking garage or parking structure or whatever it is. That's something that they don't feel they're going to need to do. So there's that part of it, the roller coaster snapshot. So let's go ahead and get into the images here. So the first image here is an aerial view from the Cahuenga Pass towards Universal Studios Hollywood. So this is basically the pass that passes between Hollywood and the San Fernando Valley. So the 101 basically, and this is kind of up on the hill there. So in this image here, you can see the Minions on the far left, the Universal Hilton, and then right there in the middle, right behind the flag there, you can see one of the turnarounds with the sound tunnel there. So you can kind of see that there. And then obviously most of the rest of the coaster is down on the hill there. You can still see the Simpsons there in this particular, again, conceptual rendering is what they're calling it. So there's the first one. The second one is looking west from Blair Drive toward Universal Studios Hollywood. So basically, this is another area kind of up on the hill. So you can see here, this is basically above where the War of the Worlds is. Basically, Terror Tram, if you're more familiar with Halloween Horror Nights. So this is basically up on that hill. You can see the parking structure there. And then as it moves around, you can see Wizarding World. And then you can see basically, if you look you see the Wizarding World Castle. If you look a little bit to the right there, you will see a coaster car kind of right in the middle of that. They're kind of in the middle left of the image there. You can kind of see a coaster car there. So a pretty fair distance, but that you will be able to see. Basically, this rendering is basically telling you, neighbors, yes, you will be able to see a coaster car for that little bit right there on Blair Drive. The next one over is looking east from the island community towards Universal Studios Hollywood. So again, this is basically looking from down the hill. You can see the Minion up there on the far right, and the building that they're building here coming up the hill. And then obviously you have all of the studio land in between. You have Jurassic World right in the middle there. And then you can see, again, the kind of half tunnel of the coaster that's peeking out on the upper lot. And it looks like there might be a little bit more that you can see if you look at Jurassic World building right basically next, between the tall building there and Jurassic World. It looks like there might be another little curve of coaster track, and then it looks like there might be one little other curve here on the left here, kind of moving towards what I think are supposed to be trees or rocks. Looks like you might be able to see something a little bit more, but I'm not quite sure. That could be something else. Next, we have from the ground level looking south from Toluca Estates towards Universal Studios Hollywood. So again, this is looking from the ground level in Toluca area. You can see the Starway there, so kind of orienting you to where that is. You've got the Simpsons there on the left. You've got Wizarding World right there. You've got obviously this building here. This is, I believe, the employee parking structure that you can see from Linkersham. And then obviously you have the part of the coaster that is rumored to go under and over the Starway there, which this would certainly seem to support that. So it kind of, again, you got your little half tunnel scream shield there. And then we've got our rooftop view looking south towards Universal Studios Hollywood from Valley Spring. So again, this is on the other side of the golf course. So you can see the golf course there right in the middle. That Universal's been really kind of trying to get their hands on for quite a few years. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, but who knows? So we got Jurassic World right there in the middle. You've got your Starway. You've got your part of the track that kind of goes over. And I'll be honest, that seems higher than I had anticipated it being, that part that goes over the Starway. And then it looks like, if you look to the right of Jurassic World, and it looks like that might be where the other sound tunnel is, or sound barrier is kind of to the right. I believe that's the Hilton there right behind. So kind of that tree, and then the little bit of track there. It looks like that might be the second one. And then lastly, we've got our aerial view looking south from Toluca Lake towards Universal Studios. So again, we've got our park here. We've got our Starway. And then you've got Simpsons basically right here on the left, and then a little bit of right to that, you've got the coaster track. So this is really kind of the one where we can see most of the layout of the coaster. We've got the area over the Starway. Looks like we've got another little bit of coaster track here, and then obviously the other kind of sound wall with over Jurassic World there. So that's basically a look at that. As I mentioned, there's a lot that we don't know yet. Obviously, we know the area, we know that it's happening, we know potentially the theme. Still not too late to change it, but I don't see that happening. They've gotten this far with with calling it Fast and Furious Coaster. So, we did get a little bit more information than we've had. Obviously we're not, going to speculate or, share, unreleased layouts of the coaster that have been put out there. Obviously we're waiting to make sure that we get the information from the park. And I'm assuming that now that this information is starting to become a little bit more public, we'll probably get some more artwork and a full kind of layout of the coaster in the not too distant future. Wouldn't surprise me if it's within the next month or two. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that little bit of look at the community, look at the community line, look at the Universal Studios Hollywood Fast and Furious coaster. I will be back at the park on Wednesday for another Halloween Horror Nights. So I'll try to get some more pics and video from that. I'll hopefully be there a little bit earlier than I was last week and be able to do the studio tour. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Take care, and we will talk to you soon.